rains, but it pours. Don Lemon has been fired by CNN after 17 years following a sexism scandal. I'll tell you all about it in just a second. We are live on our Facebook page. We are live on our YouTube channel. It is Keith and Gessie Radio on both. Catch us now and catch your moment in current affairs with me, Trusenz.
This is KNR Radio according to you.
All right, we are right smack bang in the middle of it. After 17 years, Don Lemon has been fired from CNN. The 57-year-old took to a temporary leave from the network in February after he claimed on-air presidential candidate Nikki Haley isn't in her prime as a 51-year-old woman, and he announced the Monday to 24th of April 23 morning that he had been sacked. He said on Twitter about finding out from his agent he had lost his job. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work that I had loved at the network. It's clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and my many teams I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best. But CNN's communication team branded his statement as false. It tweeted, Don Lemon's statement about this morning's event is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a Twitter statement. Network CEO Chris Licht confirmed that firing in an internal message thanking Don Lemon for the 17 years on air and telling staff he would forever be part of the CNN family. Don anchored the morning breakfast on Monday, appearing to have no idea about the fate of his job. He signed off from the show at 8:56 a.m. on Monday, saying bye everyone and waving, and at 12:14 he announced his shock firing. He was slammed for also saying about the presidential candidate Nikki Haley, a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s, 30s, and 40s. If you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I'm not saying I agree with that. I think she'll be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime. Don later offered an apology to CNN staff. What I said came out wrong, and I wish I hadn't said it. I believe women of any age can do anything they set their minds to. The people I am closest with in the organization are women. Unfortunately, it was too little too late, and Don Lemon has been excused from duty with immediate effect. Moving on to international news in Haiti, suspected gang members lynched by residents in Port-au-Prince. This is the capital of the Haitian country. At least 10 suspected gang members were lynched and burned alive by residents of Port-au-Prince, Haiti on Monday, according to police and witnesses. During a search of a minibus in which there were armed individuals, the police confiscated weapons and other equipment. In addition, more than a dozen individuals traveling in this vehicle were unfortunately lynched by members of the population, the police said in a statement. The violence started before dawn when gang members burst into several residential areas of the capital, looting homes and attacking residents, according to witnesses in the Canapé Vert district. It was the sound of projectiles that woke us up this morning. It was 3 a.m. The gangs invaded us. There were shots shot. A resident of the neighborhood district in Turgot said to the Associated Press. Now, if the gangs continue or come to invade us, we will defend ourselves. We too have our own weapons, and we have machetes, and we will take those weapons and we will not flee, another resident said. Police spokesperson Gary Disra said that the lynched individuals were a group of armed bandits traveling in a vehicle in the capital, and the police had sought to arrest them. He also confirmed that in a separate incident, notorious crime boss Carlo Petithomme, who led a gang called Team Macaque, was dead. The lynchings came after days of violence, confrontations between gang members and security personnel. Remember that Haiti's security situation has deteriorated since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, with criminal groups controlling about 80% of Port-au-Prince metropolitan area, where some 200 gangs still operate. Now, the incident occurred as the United Nations warned that the level of insecurity in the Haitian capital was comparable to the countries at war. According to police reports, the UN, the number of homicides in Haiti increased by 21% from the last quarter of 2022 to 815 between January 1st and March 31st this year. The number of reported kidnappings soared by 63%, from 391 kidnappings to 637. The report emphasized that the situation for residents living in gang-controlled areas is very poor. On the 6th of May, hey, my sister's birthday, the media personality is set to take center stage alongside Lerato Kganyago at Mbombela Stadium. Katlego Mabwe says that music is quite a big part of my life, and he's hosting the Metro FM Music Awards 2023. What a comeback for the boy. Music is quite a big part of my life. It's through music that I found myself on television and entertainment at large. This is probably one of the biggest gigs I have bagged in my career. I'm absolutely honored and very excited that this huge gig, he said. I have been doing this for quite some time, and it's something I believe is part of my DNA of who I am. Every single award show you present or any show you approach with reverence. Katlego Mabwe's comeback after a 2-year hiatus after being embroiled in a cheating scandal laced with lawsuits, losing out on jobs due to it, and later exonerated. I don't take for granted the opportunities that I have in recent times come knocking at my door through the support of people who've just stood by me, prayed for me, and helped me through the toughest times that these opportunities have come around. Congratulations to him again. University spokesperson at Univen, or the University of Venda, Dr. Tagalani Zaga, said an incident happened on Sunday evening between 6 and 7 p.m. We commended our wardens and protection staff for the proactive service. There is a student receiving medical treatment and her condition is stable. Zaga says the circumstances which led to the incident were yet to be established. The video has been doing the rounds on social media showing students placing mattresses on the ground. When the student fell, she landed safely on the mattress. This after a student who allegedly tried to commit suicide at Univen was saved. Glenys Breitenbach has a long, storied history in the fight against crime and corruption in South Africa. As an aspiring prosecutor, Breitenbach completed a law degree at the University of Free State in the 1980s, which she funded through student loans that took the first 12 years of her working life to repay. She would go on to spend the next 3 decades at the National Prosecution Authority before she was suspended in 2012 from her position as regional head of the Specialized Crime Commercial Unit by National Director of Public Prosecutions Nomgcobo Jiba. After being reinstated, Breitenbach resigned and joined the Democratic Alliance in 2014, claiming that her superiors were trying to work her out of her job. These days, you'll find the feisty and formidable Breitenbach sitting in Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services, getting to the bottom of issues such as the Thabo Bester prison escape. Resigning from the NPA did not benefit her financially, but Breitenbach said she has no regrets about doing so. The time that I left the NPA was deeply dysfunctional and I was achieving nothing at all. My first real job as a prosecutor I did for 26 years. Prosecution doesn't make you independently wealthy, but by any stretch of the imagination. Nope, I don't have a government pension. When I left, I got very little. The pension I have is the one I will have when I leave Parliament, Glenys Breitenbach says from the Democratic Alliance. You'll remember her from firing many shots at the people who were responsible or the alleged accomplices of the Thabo Bester escape sector. Johannesburg Mayor Tapelo Ahmad has resigned. The Al Jamaa councillor was expected to face a motion of no confidence in council this morning. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi said that the government of local unity has accepted Ahmad's resignation and will be submitting names for his replacement in the next few days. So convenient. Nelson Mandela Bay has been hit by lockouts and blackouts since Friday after workers vowed to shut down the city to protest against suspension of their colleagues in the metro's electricity department for what is described as the biggest corruption scheme in the history of administration. The situation is not yet under control. Nelson Mandela Bay's mayoral committee members for electricity, Lance Grootboom, said on Monday after a large part of the city was plunged into darkness in what the politicians call, in what the political leadership believed was an intentional act, Mayor Retief Odendaal on Monday said the metro was heading to a very difficult time. The Eastern Cape's biggest metro, home to many South African vehicle manufacturing industries, has been at the knife edge since Friday when electricity workers, unhappy about the precautionary suspense of 7 officials from the municipality's electricity department over an alleged massive corruption scheme, locked support staff out of their building. Now, Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality would like to issue residents with a precautionary warning of possible interruptions in electrical supply and or delays in returning electricity after load shedding. An urgent notice was sent out on Friday morning to read. This as a direct result of some employees in the Electricity and Energy Directorate today preventing the colleagues from entering their offices and doing their work. We believe these actions are related to the week's suspension of 7 officials from that directorate for their possible involvement in fraud and corruption. The alleged corruption scheme described by the Metro Executive Mayor Retief Odendaal is the biggest yet in the history of the administration, was uncovered after a large substation in Kucha Industrial Development Zone exploded, causing widespread outages, damage estimated at about 40 million rand, and leaving factories and businesses in the area without power. Kucha is home to 56 operational investors who employ 9,659 people from all over the Eastern Cape, particularly Nelson Mandela Bay. Police have declined to comment on how they were able to determine who the charred remains found in Thabo Besta's cell at the Mangaung Correctional Center belonged to. At the weekend, several media houses reported that the body inside Besta's cell belonged to 32-year-old Katlego Bereng. Reports stated that police were able to confirm that Bereng's identity via DNA tests. However, where and how the police kicked off this leg of the Thabo Besta investigation is yet to be revealed. According to the family, Bereng was a father of 2 young children who loved soccer, were able always to be happy and never gave him any trouble. It was also reported that the Bereng's family is seeking justice for how their missing son ended up in Besta's cell. We aren't in the right state of mind to even think about the burial. We need the state to come to the party. The government has failed us. We are suffering. Meanwhile, former public prosecutor Professor Thuli Madonsela has suggested the Bereng's family sue G4S Security. She said, "My heart goes out to the family of Katlego Bereng, whose body was reportedly used in the G4S-controlled Mangaung Correctional Center to enable convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Besta to escape. I suggest the family sues G4S for millions of rands in civil proceedings. Justice for Katlego Bereng," said Thuli Madonsela in a tweet. Finally, on the 23rd of April, the Mali Eningi hit maker got into his first bout hosted by Seconds Out Boxing and Entertainment by AJ's in the Park, Craig Hall, Johannesburg, against Brian Dings, who is no stranger to the boxing industry. While the two were meant to fight 3 rounds, Big Zulu ended up winning by technical knockout in the first round after months of training with SA's first female boxing manager and internationally recognized trainer Roy Jones Jr. and Jody Solomon Boxing. It was nice and easy. I think the guy was scared or still trying to find himself. So when I stepped in the ring, I tried to jab him. The guy was very heavy and I wanted him to continue so that we can fight. But one way or the other, he was going to get a knockout at the end of the day, said Big Zulu. Brian, who's popularly known for his stint as a bodyguard on Moja Love's reality Uyajola 99 show, said he felt he did not get his fair match. There was no knockout there, and I was on my feet because I tripped on that bad ring. The referee says it's over, no counting, nothing. All I can say is congratulations to Big Zulu. Much respect, brother. We move on to the next referee. Next time we need a fair match, he wrote on Instagram. Blame the ref. Blame the ref, my boy. Blame the ref.
This is